Hi again everybody, it's Mel from Stocksbridge Guitar Tech and I'm here with another lesson. And as I said in the last lesson, in this lesson I'm going to be showing you the modes and trying to explain how we arrive at the modes. Modes are just another type of scale, and I do sometimes think that people overcomplicate them when they're trying to explain them. It's actually a very easy concept once you get your head around it. So let's dive in and let's have a look at what the modes are. So what exactly are the modes and where do they come from? Well, they come from the major scale, or there are modes of the major scale. There are also modes of the minor scale. They're basically the same, just in a different order. We're going to concentrate on the major scale. So in the major scale, which we already know or should do by now, the major scale is itself a mode. It's mode number 1. All these modes have fancy names that are derived from ancient Greek tribes many years ago. And it is useful to memorise the names, but at this point you can just think of them as modes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So mode 1 is the major scale. So if we're in the key of C major, we play a C major scale. We've just played the first mode of that scale. And then if we go to the second note in that scale and play from the second note rather than the first note, we've just played the second mode of that scale. This is easier to illustrate on a keyboard. So here I'll just play a C major scale over a C major chord. Now if we play that same C major scale, but starting from the second note of the scale, which is D, we get the second mode of the scale, and that sounds like this. And we would play that over a minor chord or a minor 7 chord. If you remember a few lessons ago, we did the chords behind the notes of the major scale, and the format is major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then go back and watch some of my previous videos where this is explained. But for those of you who do know what I'm talking about, those chords will also fit behind each of these modes, because within the major scale we have 7 notes. We also have 7 intervals: major second, minor second, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, major 7th and octave. And we also have 7 modes. Everything's in 7s because there are 7 notes in the scale. So if we start a C major scale on C, that's mode 1. If we start the scale on D and play from D to D rather than C to C, we have just played mode 2 of the scale. If we start on the 3rd note of the scale, which is E, and we go E to E, then we've just played the 3rd mode of that C major scale. And it really is as easy as that. If we start from the 4th note, C, D, E, F is the 4th note. We play the C major scale, but we start on F and go to F an octave higher. Then we've just played the 4th mode of that C major scale. and so on. If we play from G, we've played the 5th mode. If we play from A, we've played the 6th mode. And if we play from B, we've played the 7th mode, because B is the 7th note in the major scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. So if we play starting from B, we play B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. We're playing exactly the same notes. We're not adding any sharps or flats. We're still playing the notes of the C major scale, but starting from B, we've just played the 7th mode of that C major scale. Now the Greek names for these modes are: mode 1 is called Ionian, mode 2 Dorian, mode 3 Phrygian, mode 4 Lydian, mode 5 Mixolydian, mode 6 Aeolian, and mode 7 Locrian. Now you already know 2 of these modes. You know mode 1, which is the major scale. Mode 1 is the major scale. And you know mode 6, Aeolian, which is the relative minor scale, the natural minor scale. So in C major, the relative minor is A minor. So the 6th mode of the C major scale is A minor, or Aeolian, to give it its modal name. So Ionian is the major scale, and Aeolian is the relative minor scale. So Ionian mode 1, Aeolian mode 6. So we only need to learn the other 5 modes within the scale, which are mode 2 Dorian, mode 3 Phrygian, mode 4 Lydian, mode 5 Mixolydian, and mode 7 Locrian. Now the other thing to remember with these modes, and this is where many people get confused, they think that because we're in the key of C major in this example, if they play the 2nd mode Dorian, that's going to be C Dorian. And if they play the 3rd mode Phrygian, that's going to be C Phrygian. That's wrong, because these modes actually take their name from whatever note they start on. So our 1st mode starts on C, so that would be C Ionian or C major. Our 2nd mode would start on the 2nd note, which is D, and our 2nd mode is Dorian. So this scale would be called D Dorian, not C Dorian, D Dorian, because we're starting on the 2nd note of the scale, the 2nd degree of the scale. So that would be D Dorian. If we start on the 3rd mode at the 3rd note, which is E, we would be playing E Phrygian, not C Phrygian, E Phrygian. And the same applies to all the other modes. If we start on F and play the 4th mode Lydian, we are playing in F Lydian. Start on the 5th note of the scale G, and we're playing in the 5th mode, which is Mixolydian. So we've got G Mixolydian. The 6th note is A, the 6th mode is Aeolian, so we've got A Aeolian. The the 7th note is B, the 7th mode is Locrian, so we've got B Locrian. So all of the modes of that C major scale would be C Ionian, D Dorian, E Phrygian, F Lydian, G Mixolydian, A Aeolian, and B Locrian. Now if we change the key, if we were saying playing in A major, then obviously the notes will change, but the modes and the intervals don't change. They stay exactly the same. The major second interval, the major third interval, the perfect fourth interval, they all remain the same. The only thing that changes are the note names. So in A major, the first mode, Ionian, would be A Ionian, or the A major scale. The second mode, Dorian, would take its name from the second note in that A major scale, which is B. So we would play B Dorian as the second mode. The third note of the A major scale is C sharp. So if we played the third mode, Phrygian, we would be playing C sharp Phrygian. And so on. So it's just important to remember that whatever mode you're in, if you're in mode 4, that mode will take its name from the 4th note within that major scale. So again, going back to our C major example, the 4th note is F, so we would be playing F Lydian. I hope that's easy enough for you to understand. If it isn't, just watch the video again and until you understand it. But it's quite simple. If we start from the first note of the scale, we're in the first mode of the scale. If we start the scale from the 5th note in the scale, then we're playing the 5th mode of that scale, and that mode will take its name from that 5th note. So if we're in C major, it will take the note name G, and the 5th mode Mixolydian, so it becomes G Mixolydian. So that's just a quick overview of the modes. I've explained it as simply as I possibly can. The more you examine this, the more it will make sense to you. You may need to watch the video a few times or write things down and go over it a few times before it sinks in. But it really is quite a simple concept. Mode 1 starts on note 1 of the scale. Mode 2 starts on note 2 of the scale. Mode 3 starts on note 3. Mode 4, note 4. Mode 5, note 5, and so on. So it's quite a simple concept to grasp. Now, over the next 5 videos, we're going to look at the 5 modes that we haven't yet covered. You already know the major scale, so that's mode 1. You already know the minor scale, so that's mode 6. If you don't know the major and minor scales, then go back and watch my previous videos because I've already covered those. So in the next 5 lessons, we're going to look individually at the Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian and Locrian modes. So in the next lesson, we'll look at the Dorian mode. That's the lesson for today, guys. I hope you could follow that. if you didn't follow it, there's anything you don't understand, just go back and watch the videos again, or drop me a comment, ask me a question in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer it for you. But if you watch the video over a few times, you should start to grasp this concept. It's not that difficult, really, when you think about it. And then, as I said, in the next lesson, we'll look specifically at the Dorian scale, the Dorian mode, because a mode and a scale, they're interchangeable, really. A mode is just a scale. The difference is it comes from within another scale. So the Dorian mode comes from within the major scale. But as I said, the major scale and the minor scale are modes in themselves, modes 1 and 6. So all scales are modes as well. So we'll look at the Dorian mode in more depth in the next video. Thanks for watching this one. As ever, please do subscribe and click the little bell notification, and I hope you'll join me for the next video lesson, which is going to be about the Dorian mode. That's all from me today, and I'll see you shortly. Thanks, bye.